Clearly, this is the scrotum, this is the testes, this is the epididymis, that C-shaped piece we saw. This is the spermatic cord. This represents the abdominal wall. So the spermatic cord has to come through the abdominal wall, right there.
And that's where you say with
and this
hernia is, right?
Right. This opening, that membrane actually rips, and then because of the pressure and gravity, the small intestines can actually come outside of the abdominal wall. Not outside of the body, I mean they're under the skin, but they're outside of the...
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. My son, that didn't close when the testicles came down when he was a baby. So it was
they had
open.
to go in and yeah, I mean my husband actually had an inguinal hernia and they went in with a patch or whatever they did, I don't know.
Well, they
all I know is he was walking like...
Keep pushing it in.
Like an 80-year-old man after that for a while.
Put a mesh.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so if we take this off, this here is the urinary bladder. So this is the urethra coming out, right? Coming out of the bladder. The urethra goes through an area that's covered with a gland called the prostate gland. The prostate gland produces seminal fluid. And also on this little gland over here, the bulbourethral gland also produces fluid to add to the sperm. And sometimes when men have an enlarged prostate, because that prostate is surrounding the urethra, it can actually put pressure on the urethra, which gives them the feeling like they always have to urinate, but then they can't urinate because there's pressure pushing on the urethra. Okay, so prostate, bulbourethra, urethra, then out through the penis. This is the glans penis. This is the shaft of the penis. We off. Pull this off. Here's the urethra coming right out. Okay. There's also tissue in the penis to help with erection. This tissue here is called the cavernosa, and the tissue right next to the urethra is called the spongiosum. Okay. All right. So we'll put him back together.
And they'll use that too, right?
Yep. Yep.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Female. Human female. This right here, the yellowish color one, that's the ovary.
That's for you, Jonathan. Pay attention.
This right here is the fallopian tube, and you see the little feathery end of the fallopian tube? So what happens is, this is your ovary, this is your fallopian tube around it. These are called fimbriae. The fimbriae actually beat, like little hairs. They beat, and what they do is they sweep the egg when it comes out of the ovary. They sweep the mature egg into the fallopian tube. Okay? Because that's where that's where fertilization happens. And then it travels down here and implants in the uterus. Okay, this right here is the uterus. Okay? This is the cervix, which is the opening to the uterus. These right here, these little wing things here, that's the fornix. This is the vagina. And then out the body. Okay? This is the urinary bladder here. This is the urethra. Okay? This would be the rectum, and that would be the anus.
That's it?
So when they have I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, ectopic pregnancy, does that mean that
it implants in the tube, or tries to implant in the tube?
When it's going from the ovary to the uterus, it stops in the middle of the tubes, and that's what happens.
And that's what happens, and that's not viable. It's actually quite dangerous for the woman because that can rupture, and that leads to
you lose
a
your
mess.
tube.
That leads to a mess. You can lose your life, actually.
Well,
that's not viable. You can't. You don't develop a placenta or anything. It can't stay there. It has to be.
So it will never come down?
No. Once it's stuck, it's stuck.
Because it starts growing, so you get to, I mean, we've had in our work, in our practice at least, I think it was up to, 12 weeks.
That's a fairly large mass.
My aunt got to about 8 to 10 weeks. She got really sick in the hospital for a while.
Quants, they have to keep an eye on the quants too.
Okay? All
That's my cup of tea right there. You don't know the whole thing, but you can explain everything else.
And this is the kidney. So again, this is the cortex out here. This is where all the little nephrons are, which is supposed to be like, this is the loop of Henle supposed to be coming down here. You've already learned about that, right? And this is a collecting duct coming all the way down. So this is the cortex. This is the medulla. These are the renal pyramids in the medulla. Okay, these are the renal columns, which is cortex that just comes down in between the pyramids. Those are the renal columns. At the tip of each pyramid, you see the collecting ducts coming down. The collecting ducts drip out, filtrate into that little space right at the tip. Those are the minor calyces. And those lead to bigger spaces, which are major calyces. That leads to the renal pelvis, which is actually an enlargement of the top of the ureter. Okay? And then from there, it flows out through the ureter. Where it leaves the kidney, the same space where the artery and vein leave the kidney, that's called the hilus. The space where it comes out is the hilus.
You need to know that.
You need to know that.
Probably. Okay?